Okay, this is now tarot lesson number 100. And we begin with thanks to Stefan and Talas because they volunteered a horoscope spread that they had done for themselves. And we're going to look at some of that today. The first thing I need to say is if you're doing a horoscope spread for yourself, then you can lay cards down and turn over every one and look at it and figure out what it says or what it's about. But if you're doing a horoscope spread for somebody else, the reader is meant to take their lead from the questioner. So what you do is you find out what the person wants to know, and then you pick the card or cards in the houses that would answer that particular question. So somebody wants to know about their, daughter-in-law, for instance. So that's you, and that's your child, and that's the child's partner, the 11th. So you would turn the card here and get information about the daughter-in-law. Assuming now that the fifth house is the first child, the 7th is the second. So if it's your second child's marriage partner, then you look at the first house and talk about the person based on the card that's here. And let's say the daughter-in-law is having trouble at work. You would think, okay, that's the daughter-in-law, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the 10th from here. So this would be the daughter-in-law's occupation or work or career, depending on what it happens to be. If it's about career and long-term future, you look to the 10th. If it's about everyday work and she's not happy doing what she's doing, that's more like a 6th house matter. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whereas it was the first child's marriage partner, you start here with the 11th. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The card here would show the services meant to be performed by the daughter-in-law, or the work that the person does, that the daughter-in-law does. So, and maybe then the person's got a couple of questions about some other area of their life. But once they've asked what they want to know about, you're not meant to look elsewhere. You're meant to pick it all up and shuffle the cards and begin, and that's it. You're not supposed to. The idea is that you, the reader, looking in different houses, is kind of being nosy and prying, and you're not supposed to do that. You're meant to take your lead from and answer questions put by the questioner. So, Talas and Stefan, rather than, because I don't know what they want to know about, and rather than take each house individually, because they told me what cards they got in each of the different houses, I want to do half the horoscope spread today, and I'll do half, the second half next time. And so when I say half, what I mean is you can look at this is life, money or income, communication, home, children, sickness, partners, death and regeneration, philosophy, business, friends, and karma, right? 12 houses, basically. But you can look at there are different ways of dividing up the houses. So the 1st, the 5th, and the 9th are houses of life. And so you think about it. Some people are just, all they want to do is live. They don't really mind about anything else. They just want to feel as if they're alive. So they would have an emphasis in their natal horoscope of planets in the 1st, the 5th, and the 9th houses. Whereas the 2nd, the 6th, and the 10th are houses of wealth. And so if you've got a majority of planets here, the 2nd, the 6th, and the 10th, your chief interest is not so much in living, but in making money or getting a reputation, a good reputation, whatever it happens to be. Right? So there's life, wealth. The third the 7th and the 11th are houses of association, where partnerships and other people are most important for the individual. And the last 3, the 4th, the 8th, and the 12th, are houses of psychism. So today I want to look at the 1st, the 5th, and the 9th for Stefan and Talas, houses of life. And we'll take the 3 cards that they got here and put them together and see if we can figure out what their life is like, or what they can do about it if they're not enjoying it, or what we would find. And then I want to look at the 2nd, the 6th, and the 10th to get an idea of how wealth is going for both of them. And thinking about wealth, it's to do with work and career and making your way in life and maybe being independent or whatever it happens to be. So I've got set aside here, I've got the 3 cards for each of them. So we're going to begin with Stefan. So he had the Knight of Battens here reversed. The 5th was the 7 of Swords reversed, and the 9th was the Wheel of Fortune. So we're looking at these 3 cards in not as much, maybe in a triangle, but as being, I don't know, telling some kind of story or giving an indication of what's what, or what's going on, or what's working or what's not working. I'm being kind of vague about this deliberately so that we can see that it's not like there's just one way of looking at these 3 cards together, these 3 houses together. What you do is you look at the cards that come up and put together an explanation or a story or a scenario from the 3 cards. And I've got a piece of paper here because I may do that. So we'll look at the 3 cards. We've got the Knight of Battens upside down. I'm going to put this here. The Knight of Battens upside down. And we're thinking about, this is telling us about Stefan's life and his approach to life and his enjoyment or lack of enjoyment of life itself. So the first card is the Knight of Battens reversed. So knights are messengers and they bring change, and it's upside down. So he's not getting good news from life, or he doesn't like the messages that life is sending him. So we get an idea that he is frustrated, or he is not making, because we've got a fellow on a horse, it's kind of indicates movement and travel, but it's upside down. So it's a bit like he can't go in the direction he wants to go in, or he's not, and he's not getting good feedback from the world. We could then say he's not getting good feedback from the world because he's not sending out good ideas into the world, because we get back what we give out, which is a kind of general rule of life, I think. So on the one hand, we've got, he's not, I mean, it's battens. If it had been swords, that's more difficult or more stressful. But it's battens, so it's kind of, it's a bit like, it's okay, but not fabulous for him at the moment. The second card was this 7 of Swords reversed. And it's to do with life. And it's a bit like, I had a look at these before I laid them out. And I looked at this 7 of Swords. Difficult to know what to say about this, especially because Stefan's not here giving input or asking a question. But if you look at the 7 of Swords, I looked at the 2 swords stuck in the ground, and the fact that it's upside down, it's a bit like the stability or the area, the activity of stability, or the stable elements in his life are okay, but they're not that satisfying at the moment. And he's more interested, he's kind of maybe at odds with himself, or he's keen to cut through problems, but it's not going that well at the moment. And so he maybe wants good news, but he doesn't quite know what to do with it if he gets it. So in a lot of ways, there's not much point in getting good news, because he's not going to be able to do a lot with it under the present circumstances. Now, Stefan said he picked cards for 2 months, and he did this a month ago. So maybe he could have a comment about that. But the third card seems to be, it's the Wheel of Fortune. It's a major trump and it's upright. So it's a bit like this is the key for his life and for his living at the moment. He needs to understand cycles because wheels go round and round. That's partly what I'm thinking at the moment. So if things are going not so well here, if things are going badly here, remember, it's all a cycle. So sometimes you're going up, sometimes you're going down. And rather than take that seriously or take that seriously, remember, it's all part of a bigger picture. And so if he begins to, or if he spends time figuring out the bigger picture, represented by the Wheel of Fortune, and also we've got Seven of Swords here, and we've got the person on top, or the Sphinx on top, holding a sword. So maybe his lesson at the moment is, instead of being annoyed, cut out what is no longer of use. And that's you on top of the wheel with a sword in your hand, rather than being agitated and not quite sure what you want to get rid of. So, Talas, on the other hand, had the Four of Batons, the Chariot reversed, and the Six of Batons reversed. So I'll put these in the middle. So with Talas, we've got the Four of Batons. The Four of Batons is a card of celebration, but it's upside down. So it's like things are good, but not quite right. Or things are good, but they're not as good as you thought they were going to be. Or there's a certain amount of disappointment or sometimes you ask for something, you really want something. Then when you get it, you discover it's not as good as you thought it was going to be. And that could be the kind of situation that Talas is in at the moment, with the Four of Batons upside down. I want to go to the third card because it's Batons as well. Batons is a good suit, so to speak. It's not swords, which shows strife and conflict. Here it's Batons. This is also a card of celebration and victory, but it's upside down. And it's as if things are going well, but not perfect. Things are going well, but she hasn't quite reached the point she wanted to reach, or there's a little bit of disappointment or disillusionment with the way things are going. And yes, she's got nothing to complain about, but at the same time, you know what it's like. You're dissatisfied within yourself for some reason, even though everything is going, or things are going basically quite well, I would think, from the 4 and the 6. So that this middle card, the Chariot, seems to be, maybe it's the key, and it happens to be number 7. I'm not, okay, so what does she do? And I think the Chariot upside down is maybe the key. So she makes more, she becomes more of a charioteer, right? The chariot can be a vehicle. It's a car for getting around in, but it's upside down. So maybe for Talas, what she learns about over the next couple of months or 3 months is, how do you drive? How do you go? You can get into a car and just drive around aimlessly, or you can get into a car knowing where you're going to go and choosing the best route to get there. And it can be with the Chariot upside down that it's going to be important for Talas over the next couple of months or 3 months to make some decisions about where she wants to go or how she wants to get there, rather than accept that things are basically okay, so why bother making an effort. With these two behind her, with the energy and the enterprising characteristics of these two cards, that combined with a definite plan or a definite idea would give her great success. Then Stefan had, went with wealth, the 2nd, the 6th, and the 10th. Stefan had the 8 of Cups, the Hierophant, and the Magician reversed. So let I again just put these in the middle so we can get the idea that we're looking at all three together in some way to see what kind of story they tell. So I was going to write things down, but I'm not. So when it comes to earning and working and having a career or an occupation, this is what these 3 cards are about. Stefan at the moment, the 8 of Cups. So he's on a journey. He's on the move, which can be that he's got a job and he's actively looking to change it or to do something more or to do something better. Because he's on a journey, we've got the person walking away from a 3 and a 5 Cups in the foreground. So you put that together with the Hierophant, and this shows higher education in some way, or study, or an advanced diploma, or learning particular skill. So maybe if Stefan worked with wood, he doesn't just build buildings and put in like frames for building a house, but he becomes a fine wood craftsman, and he apprentices to a skilled technician. I remember there was a photographer, can't remember his name, but he went to Japan and spent 6 months working with a Japanese sword maker because he wanted to understand and absorb everything that was involved with making Japanese swords. And it's a real skill. It's not just like, you put it in a mold and that's it done. There's an awful lot involved and ins and outs and intricacies. So with the Hierophant here, it looks like it's time for Stefan to seriously consider his long-term goals and his long-term learning and areas of study because it's the Hierophant. But at the same time, the Magician is upside down, so it's not quite time yet to branch out on his own because the Magician is number 1, so it's somebody standing alone. And it's a bit like with the 8 and then the Hierophant and then the Magician reversed. Yes, he's going to be successful because he's on a journey, but he's got some learning to do to make him able to really give a good account of himself, represented by the Magician. But the Magician's upside down. So it's a bit like be an apprentice or study first, and then you'll be able to go your own way, or later, then your individual contribution, because it's number 1, is going to be valued and appreciated, and you, Stefan, are going to be able to give a good account of yourself, because the Magician, as time goes by, will become upright. And then for Talas, we got the 10 of Swords reversed, the Empress reversed, and the King of Cups reversed. So again, putting it all 3 in the middle. So when it comes to wealth, when it comes to income and a job and career and promotion, or how you're going to spend your time and be paid for it, we've got the 10 of Swords reversed. I think this is why, when I was looking at these 3 cards, this is why I had a piece of paper, because I thought the 10 of Swords upside down, and I was going to write a word like disappointment or frustration or sorrow or reverses, things going against her. When it comes to income or going for a new position or going for a promotion, I don't know what she does for a living, if she does anything. So with the Ten of Swords upside down, also 10 is 1 plus nothing, gets you back to 1 again. So she may have tried to make a new beginning and it was delayed, or there were obstacles put in the way, or it didn't work out because it's a 10 and it's upside down. And the fact that it didn't, maybe she had high hopes of a new job and it didn't work out and she's really disappointed by it and kind of thrown by the disappointment of this Ten of Swords reversed. If I can also then go to this King of Cups, or then with the Empress reversed, if we think about the Empress, if it had been upright, she has skill, she's good with people, she's good with creativity as well, because the Empress is creative in her own way, and she's also good with people. And she would be a good person to know because of the people that she knows and what she knows as well. But it's upside down, and it's a bit like her real self isn't fully appreciated by other people at the moment. Or she can have a great idea, because this is for 3 months, right? She can have a great idea, but she's going to struggle to get people to accept it or to see the great value in what she's proposing or what she's offering. And with the King of Cups reversed here, maybe it's a man's world and this is her problem. It's probably for lots of people, but just because a king, and king is the man, or kings are men rather than women. And she's the Empress, so she's the female. So what do we say about this? If we're looking at 3 months, maybe we look at this card, the Empress in the middle, and say that's the solution. If you can create, because the Empress is creative, maybe what she does, so that be creative. So, but don't just keep doing what you've been doing, because that didn't work. Ten of Swords reversed, or it hasn't given you the outcome that you wanted or that would have satisfied you. So maybe what you do is look for another or a different realm of creativity. So creativity could be writing a book, or it can be writing an instruction manual, or taking photographs, or making music, or learning an instrument, or painting, or drawing, or sculpting. There are hundreds of different ways you can express yourself creatively. And maybe what she does is try something new, a new creative outlet that she hasn't tried before, because we've got the Ten of Swords reversed. So it ought to be something new and different, and maybe radically different. And with the King of Cups upside down, maybe find a mentor or find somebody who will support you. So the King of Cups goes from being upside down to being upright. So maybe she, a bit like Stefan being an apprentice, maybe Talas finds some kind of I happened, before I started making this video, there's a magazine called Design Daily, and they do articles about architecture and design and and things like that. And I found it quite interesting. So I look at the daily email. Sometimes I look at the whole thing. Other times I pick and choose. And today there happened to be an article about Issey Miyake, the Japanese designer the person who put the set together for the fashion show, had used hundreds of yards of Japanese paper. I really like Japanese paper. It was a white paper. And so then there was a video and it showed you. So somehow the Empress, this is all to do with what happened, what I was looking at 15 minutes ago, or 5 minutes before I started making the video, was a fashion show. And maybe that's Talas, that she looks at designing or making or drawing something and is creative in that kind of a way. Okay, so that was kind of it for the moment. So, okay, so I'm just sort of gathering things up here. That was it for the moment. So next time, if Talas and Stefan leave a comment, I'll see if we can incorporate what they say or do something with it. But also, next time we'll look at the other two kinds of houses. We'll look at the 3 cards they got for houses of association and the 3 cards they got for the houses of psychism. And we'll examine these different areas, and it'll give you a better understanding of the horoscope spread as a whole, because you'll have more information about what the different houses mean and what kind of information you can get from them. That was it, and I'll talk to you in a bit. Okay, bye.